Good day, it is I, Lord Penderbury, and welcome to Evolution Sim Racing Series 2024. Yeah, we are ready for rounds 5 and 6 tonight. We are in the it's split between the AM and the Pros. So the AM category will be racing in the LMP2s, and the Pros will be racing in the GT3s, much to my displeasure. However, it was a good night of racing, so we'll crack on with the highlights very shortly. But if you would like to come and get involved with Evolution Sim Racing, then please do so. There's some attractive looking reasons down to the right hand side of me over there, and there's a website down there that you can also visit as well. So visit that, get involved with our Discord, and come and join the show. But for now, as I say, we are heading over to Daytona in the GT3s and LMP2s for our first and only mixed car class event of the season. So yeah, let's crack on with the highlights. Well, hello then, and welcome to Daytona Road Course. As you can see, we are in an area that is about as bereft of hills as Ricky Worrell's head is hair. For some reason, the weather symbol is not appearing on there, but we are obviously at Daytona, the World Centre of Racing, lol. For this first race of this evening, it's the 25-minute sprint race. We are racing in the LMP2s and GT3s. The LMP2s will be frequented by the AM category, and the GT3s will be frequented by the Pro category. Now, as ever, qualifying occurred prior to this session. So, first for the AM category was Josh Levy, just 0.07 of a second ahead of Mark Audley on the front row of the grid. Chris Hulse and Chris Palmer made up the Chris's for the ultimate Chris showdown for the Chris Prime title. Then on the third row of the grid, it was Travis Dorado and Steve Everson. Steve Everson representing Big Dicks halfway in, racing for... he's signed a contract for Big Dicks. You should have seen the pen they used. Anyway, Paul Nicholson, representing 3 Legs 4 Wheels, is in 7th, with Anthony Marriott of Tuggy Bear Racing in 8th. Axel Edwards was then in 9th, and Brian Dodd rounded out the AM category in 10th. On to the Pro category then, signified by the blue colours. Dan Slattery on pole with Will Thomas alongside. Jeff Sharp was in 3rd, Lord Penderbury in 4th. Third row of the grid was Ricky Worrell and Jamie Nicholson, and rounding out the top lot is James Hurlow and Steve Moore. Why Steve Moore's colours are not as they should be, I'm not sure. I will look into that. My apologies. Well, the AM category are heading up towards the line. Green flag will go any second. And they are off. Looks like a decent start for Josh Levy. Leads them away very nicely indeed. Heading up towards turn 1 now. Oh, there's contact. That's Palmer. Palmer yo-yoing backwards and forwards between cars there. Absolute chaos. The GT3s Pro category are now coming and getting involved with all this. And, well, Palmer is, well, out. That front wheel is not turning in the way he wants to for the second week running. He is struggling. Back then, and we can see there's a mix of LMP2s and GT3s heading through the infield section. They jink to the left before the second horseshoe. Anthony Marriott caught up the furthest back of the LMP2s. We also have Travis Dorado caught up in the Pro category as well. But that is Marriott working his way through. Looks like Axel Edwards has made a move early doors here. He's got past Paul Nicholson. That is for 4th place in the AM category. I am aware that Steve Moore is not showing in the Pro standings at the moment, and I can't work out why he isn't. we'll look to try and fix that on the fly. And we've got several LMP2s in the pit lane. Steve Everson, Travis Dorado. We already knew about Chris Palmer having to go back there due to that damage on the first corner. Well, taking a look back at the race start then, and Chris Palmer just gets into the back of, I can't see who that is, but then sweeps across, backwards and forwards, hits Everson, hits Dorado, causes chaos for all. Let's take a look at it from a different angle. Yeah, just maybe a little bit too much speed. But it does cause chaos. And the GT3s, as we saw, getting involved as well. Well, one lap is in the book. Let's check in with the AM category leader, and that is Josh Levy. He's currently 0.7 of a second ahead of Chris Hulse, the championship leader for the AM category. Mark Audley qualified in second. He's dropped down to third, but his first meeting of this season, he'll be happy to be running in the top three at this stage. Closest battle on track is the one between Edwards and Paul Nicholson in the AM category. That is, at least. You can see them there heading out around the long sweeping left-hander of the oval, or one of them. I'll head up towards the bus stop now. Now taking a look then at the AM category, there is Dan Slattery leading the way. He's got himself a 1.9 second lead, no doubt helped by that first lap and first corner chaos. But he is done very nicely from that. Will Thomas is running in second place with one Lord Pendlebury in third just behind him. Also looking quite close a little bit further back, Jamie Nicholson and Ricky Worrell pretty close together, but a slight concern in the pro category is the difference between the Mercedes and the Porsche. The Porsche is quicker on the infield section. However, the Mercedes is significantly quicker on the straights / oval section. Even with slipstream, the Porsches can't keep up. Hopefully this won't cause a status quo, but we will have to wait and see on that one. But you can see how much Ricky Worrell has closed up in this section. Shout out to Jeff Sharp. If we could take a look at Ricky Worrell's numbering, for some reason I know that he is set as number 22. However, every race he comes in, he is turning into a different number. So if we can take a look at that, that would be fantastic. I love dishing out admin tasks whilst doing commentary. I should do it more. Oh, race control popping in with their opinion of lap 1 turn on. Absolute carnage. Oh, Pendlebury. He is somehow kept out the barriers, but that has dropped him down the order. Back down into 7th place in category. And you can see there, Steve Moore in the Ferrari. He will be coming through. He's got the momentum. Pendlebury goes wide just to let him through. Interesting. Steve Moore, despite going up to 7th, is not showing. There's something that's gone wrong there. I will look into it. Jeff Sharp is past James Hurlow. There, that battle is number 19 of Team 19 Racing, followed by the Mercedes of James Hurlow. Looks like Anthony Marriott has got past Brian Dodd in the AM category. Indeed he has. Confirmation there. Brian Dodd has got the slipstream though. Can he work his way back onto Marriott's rear bumper? Oh, he can't. He runs out wide. Takes a cone out for good measure. And that'll drop him off the back a little bit. And on the 5th lap of this one. Nearly 7 minutes in. We can see from the timing tower, gaps are aplenty. Ricky Worrell, the closest to anybody. He's behind Jamie Nicholson. And Chris Hulse on that battle with Josh Levy for the AM category lead. He's making sure Levy isn't getting away, so let's keep it close on this one. Ah, well, you will no doubt be thrilled to hear that I have discovered why we can't see Mr. Moore, good old Simon, on the standing. It's because I haven't added him specifically into the pro category, despite him being listed in the overlay software. And it looks like we might have a move for the lead in the AM class. Hulse has been closing that gap. Sends it too wide as they round across the line. Takes it nice and wide in. Is he going to get the switch back and go underneath Josh Levy? He can't. Well, update on the Simon Moore situation. I have now got him added in, but I don't think he's going to appear until I refresh the overlay. And if I do that, I might lose all of the data that is being recorded. So, apologies, Simon. You won't be shown in this one, but you should be there for the pro race. Oh, Ricky Worrell looking around the outside then of Jamie Nicholson. Just 10 minutes to go in this one. Worrell perhaps thinking now might be the time to make a move. The question is if he can get past, will he be able to get away from Jamie Nicholson? The straight line speed of that Mercedes may not allow it, but the speed of the Porsche on the infield section could just about win out for him. Let's wait and see what happens. In the meantime, though, let's play everybody's favourite game. The big winners and losers of each category. And to be honest, there's no significantly big losers in the AM category other than Chris Palmer, who obviously got caught up in that first lap drama. Oh, and that's Jamie Nicholson. Not sure what's happened there. Looks like he's got into strife in the bus stop, and he is recovering now, but that throws away, well, every position almost available to be thrown away for him. He drops down into... Oh, I need to check. Does he drop down into 7th? He is in 7th. Steve Moore is still behind him. Got a bit of excitement in this one there. So, anyway, the big winners and big losers. Chris Palmer, the biggest loser, and has unfortunately retired from this one. Joint biggest losers are then Dorado and Everson still in the running. The big winner, though, Axel Edwards, up 5 places, qualified in 9th. He is now circulating in 4th. And Anthony Marriott, that has just swept around the outside of Paul Nicholson there. That is for 5th place in class. We then, in the pro category, no really big losers there. Jeff Sharp and Lord Pendlebury down 2 positions each. But the big winner in category is James Hurlow, up from 7th to 4th place. Well, the big battle continues to be this one between Josh Levy and Chris Hulse. I head on to yet another lap. Hulse takes a slightly wider line in. We've seen that throughout most of this race. Isn't letting Levy get away from him, but doesn't seem to have the pace. He has mounted a couple of attacks, but in those attacks, he hasn't managed to get past, so Levy could well have the measure of him here. Ooh, that's one of the GT3s going out wide. That is Ricky Worrell. Just about gathers it up. All okay, though. Perhaps lining up a move in the closing stages. Anthony Marriott, 2nd in the championship, I believe, at the moment. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think he's running 2nd in the championship. Chris Hulse, his main rival for the top step in the championship. a few positions ahead of him, so he could do with getting past Paul Nicholson, but unfortunately he's been held up by a GT3. Jeff Sharp, whilst losing out to Pendlebury, is now all over the back of Pendlebury. What can be done here? He'll be hoping for an overtake, and he's certainly close enough to attempt it. Question is, will he attempt it into the bus stop, or will he be patient and go into turn one, staying put as it is? Oh, Sharp's wide there. Could he have got a slowdown or just an off track? And this could well be the time for Sharp to make his move. Pendlebury doesn't even bother defending. Let's Sharp through on the inside line. Can he switch back? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Sharp has managed to get that position back. Let's take a look at Steve Everson, because he is hot on the heels of Travis Dorado as they headed to turn one. I think we must be on the final lap now. Just loses a little bit of momentum there. And at the front of the AM category, there is Josh Levy, and you can see, despite the race-long battle, Chris Hulse is now 4.7 seconds back from Levy. And that is due to what I assume was Chris Hulse having a moment somewhere, or maybe another slowdown. But Levy swerves backwards and forwards, takes the checkered flag. Excellent win from him, flashing those lights. And despite the fact that Will Thomas is slowly closing that gap to Dan Slattery, or he was, it's now 1.8 seconds, so that has gone down a little bit. It looks like Slattery will hold on for the win, and that will hand Slattery the championship lead. Pendlebury and Sharp battling away still. What's Pendlebury going to think about doing here? Pulls to the outside. That's a shocking camera angle to choose. And he can't get it done over the line. So he will remain in 6th for the second week running, just 0.06 of a second behind the car in front of him. In the sprint race, that is. Well, excellent stuff then. Let's take a look at the results, starting with the pro standings. We have Dan Slattery. He wins out from Will Thomas. It remained at 1.8 seconds. Ricky Worrell, he ended up being 10.5 seconds back, but rounds out the podium. James Hurlow, 4th place with Jeff Sharp, in 5th place with Pendlebury just behind. Jamie Nicholson was then in 7th place, and yep, hopefully we'll see you in the next race, Steve Moore. But yes, Steve Moore is in 8th. Now to the AM standings. Josh Levy took the win, led from start to finish. Excellent stuff from him. Chris Hulse did the best he could, but couldn't quite get past Josh Levy, and then tailed off towards the end. Mark Audley, first race of the season, and gets a podium. Very nicely done from him. Axel Edwards was then in 4th with Paul Nicholson in 5th. Anthony Marriott was in 6th with Brian Dodd in 7th. Travis Dorado was 8th with Steve Everson in 9th. Chris Palmer, he retired after that first lap drama. Unfortunate stuff for him. Better luck in the feature race. But there we go. That rounds out the standings. We will, of course, take a very short break. We will be back with the feature race highlights in just a second. Hello then, and welcome back to the World Centre of Egos. I don't even know if that's a joke. But yes, we are still at Daytona. We are ready for round 6. It is the 45-minute feature race with mandatory pit stop. And as was with the first race, the LMP2s will be driven by the AM category and the GT3s by the, whatchamacallit category, the Pro category. Now, let's go and take a look at the grid for everybody's favourite game. Definitely not tedious, this one. The old Guess the Livery. Well, I say let's do that, but for some reason it won't let me switch camera. So this is already catastrophically bad. There we go. Oh, jeez. So, full disclosure, it's been over a week since I recorded the sprint to this because thanks to iRacing being attacked by whoever it was, I couldn't record the feature, and yeah, so now I've got no idea who the hell's it. But on pole position, I know that number 70 is driven by Paul Nicholson, the person behind the pace car. Let's try changing some camera views, see if that helps things. Ah, yes, the number 11 of Brian Dodd. We're going to have to switch back to TV1. But, oh, I can't use the number 12 car. Who is that number 12? Oh, okay, that's not going to help us. That's, oh, nice bouncy on the thing. Oh, for God's sake, let's go for the blimp. That's always good. Oh, fuck me. I'm just going to say it's Chris Palmer. Then we've got Steve Everson. Then we've got Josh Levy. Then we've got Steve Everson again. Then I don't know who that one is in the green thing. Then I think that's Anthony Marriott. And then below him we've got yeah, someone. I'm pretty confident that is someone. Chris Hulse. Oh no, yeah, of course it's Chris Hulse, because Chris Hulse is leading the AM Championship. Now on to the Pro category, and I still got no fucking idea. Let's do that. No, that's not useful. Let's do Will, you're in the Pro category, right? Let's do that. So fuck it out. I cannot believe how bad this is. Oh, I don't know. Who was driving the Steve Moore, you were driving the Ferrari, I remember that. Then I think that might be Jamie Nicholson. Then we've got the Mercedes. Oh, people are going to start moving. This is more useful. Gosh, I think this is legitimately going to be longer. Oh, Playboy, that doesn't seem very Jamie Nicholson. Do you race the Playboy? Is that Dan Slatter? No, Dan Slatter is much higher up in the championship. Oh, shots fired, sorry. Oh, there's no numbers on the side of them. Are you fucking shitting me? Ah, oh, screw it. You know what? We've got James Hurlow in the AMG Mercedes. We've then got somebody else, Jeff Sharp. He's... oh no, that's Jamie Nicholson in the Sonax machine. That one's... whatchamacallit? Jeff Sharp. Then we have Dan Slattery and Lord Penderbury. Fuck me, that was fucking awful. I'm sorry. Well, the pace car has pulled in then. And Paul Nicholson will go when he decides, and that is now. Now, can they keep it cleaner than they did in the first race? Everyone seems to have got through there all okay. Let's check in with the Pro category. They look to be through there all okay as well. So let's switch on to crash camera. Apologies, Josh Levy. iRacing thinks that's you. And then it'll keep on top of any issues that occur in these opening stages. Oh, not sure who I said was Chris Palmer in the grid rundown, but it certainly wasn't who I thought it was. Oh, and someone is out well wide there. Oh, and that's James Hurlow round. Penderbury looks to be the person on the inside. Oh, Penderbury really shoved him into the barriers there, didn't he? What a tosser. Oh, and now that is the number 12 car of Brian Dodd. So Brian Dodd wasn't the number 11 car that I thought he was. That was Mark Audley, apparently. But there's been various bits of chaos on this opening lap. And once again, the AM category and the Pro category are mingling and fraternising in a way that they should not be. And how has things shaken out? Well, Paul Nicholson still leads the way then in the AM category. Travis Dorado and Chris Hulse close behind. Chris Hulse looks like he is very much on top of Travis Dorado here. You can see that there. They're heading up to complete the first lap. Dorado on the inside, Hulse on the outside. Hulse much later on the brakes. Can he swing it all the way around the outside? He's taken an incredibly wide line there. So much so that he almost just carried on. Looks very close there. Looks like there's things kicking off in the pro category as well. Will Thomas leading the way at the moment with Ricky Worrell behind. It's like a rerun of race 1, I think. Got a bit of side-by-side action a little further up the order there as well. Being well behaved so far. For reasons unknown to me, Steve Moore is still not showing in the pro category. This is mystifying. Oops, Slattery showing his nose up the inside too. Pendlebury, the Destroyer, I think we should call him, after that ambitious move on James Hurlow. And Chris Hulse looks like he has got past Travis Dorado. Indeed he has in the run up to the bus stop, which I have to say looks absolutely massive from that camera angle. Christ. Practically circumventing an island there. I'm really intrigued to know who Moo is, because on the track map there is Moo, and I'm sure it's not Daisy the cow, so... But there is no Moo in... I mean, it could be... Oh, I don't know who it is. Who cares? Well, here we are looking back then at Pendlebury's attack. And, well, as I am Pendlebury, I can tell you what happened there. I just braked too late. Tried to go onto the grass to avoid James, but did actually a very efficient... pit manoeuvre on him, but yeah, apologies James, that was all on me. I'm just not that good. Well, this is what happened between Brian Dodd and Mark Audley, and well, bit of an odd one really. They're both kind of like driving their own courses and came together, and that sent Brian Dodd spinning around. Ooh, Slattery looking up the inside of Moore there. More kind of trying to prise the door open rather than it being a legitimate move for the position, which must be... Oh, I don't know. Why are you not showing in the grid? I don't know what is... Oh, Steve Moore suddenly reappears there. So Steve Moore is appearing, if the standings are shown, as you can see there, all in one big fuck-off group. However... Oh, Slattery's up the inside of Moore. And he gets the job done going up onto the oval. That's Jeff Sharp looking to follow him through, and it looks like he can. Well, on the positive side, Steve, whilst you may not feature in the standings for the most part, your number 82 does look very nice in the standings. Okay, so you're not actually... So if you've not got a blue background, that means you're not in the pros in the overlay software, but you are, so I don't know... Oh, for God's sake, it's an absolute fucking shit show. The pro category again. You'll notice, just to confuse me even further, Ricky Worrell is now in the yellow and blue machine that's leading the way. He has changed cars. He got very frustrated in the first race at the lack of straight line speed from the Porsche. And as a consequence, he's now leading, so all the other Porsche drivers may well be a bit disappointed in their decisions. Oh, hello, Paul Nicholson is tumbling down the order. What has happened to him? Well, he's out. Well, he's not over here. Not sure what's happened to Paul Nicholson there, but Chris Hulse then takes the lead, and why we are still on this camera angle, I'm not sure. Gaps starting to widen up now in the AM category by the looks of things. Mark Audley, Anthony Marion, Chris Palmer still having that battle, but not all that close. It looks like Will Thomas is making moves, though, in the Pro category. This is for the lead. Pendlebury, throwing it in on the outside line there. And you can see that Will Thomas has taken the lead from Ricky Worrell. These three pulling away slightly from the guys behind. It's 1.4 seconds back to Dan Slattery in 4th place. Chris Palmer in the AM category, right up behind Anthony Marriott here. Gets a better run through the bus stop as well, and he is going to be all over him as they head through the long final turn. Tucked up underneath him, pulls out to the outside. Pulls back in. Now looking to make that move as they come across the line. Takes it well out wide onto the brakes. Looking to hang it around all the way around the outside, but can't quite. Oh, now looks to the inside for the first horseshoe. Can he get it stopped? He can. Will Marriott have the momentum on the outside line, though? They've also got James Hurlow to contend with, who put him there. And that has unfortunately not gone well for Chris Palmer. He was looking like he was getting ready to make the move, but unfortunately James Hurlow, through no fault of his own, was just happened to be existing, and that is what caused Chris Palmer some issues. He gives Anthony Marriott rear end a good headbutt there to really get across his frustration, and that has dropped him off the back of Marriott a fair bit. Oh, and it's all getting a little bit congested here with the LMP2s. Mark Audley looking around the outside of Travis Dorado here. This is for 3rd position in class. And overall, I suppose, but overall doesn't really matter. Audley looking to make things difficult for him as they pull into the bus stop. Oh, there's contact! That is Travis Dorado into the barriers. Oh, and that is not a happy car. We'll have to take a look back at that. Wow, this is what happened between Audley and Dorado coming up to the bus stop. Audley, wow. Again, just looks a little bit like a racing incident, that one. I don't think Audley moved across too much, and equally Dorado I don't think moved across too much. Let us know what you think in the comments. He's somehow still in 4th place because Anthony Marriott is now ahead of him. I think that killed some of Audley's momentum, but all three of them, including Chris Palmer, now battling away. They go through the chicane side by side, keep it nice and clean, and Palmer gets up the inside very nicely there. He's continuing his battle with Anthony Marriott. He'll look to close him down again. Oh, and that is Pendlebury absolutely fucking it yet again, and he absolutely careers across the grass to get back on the track there. Comes up off the apron, and well, he's the 2nd race running. He has cocked it up through the bus stop, and it gets worse for him because he was in 3rd, lost the position to Slattery, now lost the position to Nicholson, and now Sharp. Not a big fan of the GT3s, Lord Pendlebury, and you can see why. It's quite simple. He can't drive them. Oh, and that looks like a pretty poor run from Jamie Nicholson coming out of the bus stop, and you can see Sharp is right on the back of him. But you can see there, despite being right on the back of him, Sharp cannot drag his way up to him because of the straight line speed of that Mercedes. In fact, that Mercedes is still pulling away. Pendlebury, however, is closing in on the back of Jeff Sharp. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th in the Pro category. And as you can see, the whatchamacallits... Oh, that is carnage. Jamie Nicholson and Chris Hulse across categories have had an incident. I think Pendlebury also managed to lose it in amongst all of that as well, but Chris Hulse just got a bit too late onto the brakes. Thought there was a gap, perhaps. There wasn't, into the side of whoever it was. No, not Will Thomas. Jesus Christ, Jamie Nicholson. He went. And here we go. Comes back up to Jamie Nicholson again. This time is perhaps a bit more reserved, waiting until the oval before going past him. Full of apologies on the radio. Oh, a little bit close between the two of them on the straight there as well. And yeah, you can see from that gap, Pendlebury is now 2.3 seconds off the back of Sharp, so things went wrong for him too. Well, let's take a look at that incident between Chris Hulse and Jamie Nicholson. And, well, I think unfortunately you do have to lay the blame there at Chris Hulse's door. Came from quite a long way back. And that sadly impacts both Hulse's and Nicholson's races. Well, we are just about creeping up on half distance then. And we'll take a look then. Josh Levy has risen to the top in the AM category. He is currently in first position. Chris Palmer nearly 5 seconds back, with Anthony Marriott a further 2.6 seconds back. Anthony Marriott now taking his pit stop. That promotes Mark Audley into third. We then have Steve Everson, Chris Hulse, Brian Dodd, Travis Dorado. Axel Edwards has retired the car, as has Paul Nicholson. We think connection issues has ridden us of Paul Nicholson's presence in this one. Then to Will Thomas, he is leading the Pro category. You can see there, though, Ricky Worrell in pretty close attendance, just 1.2 seconds back. Impressive from Worrell. Hasn't done much practicing in the Mercedes and was in the Porsche in the first race, but he is holding on. We then have Jeff Sharp. He's nearly 10 seconds back, with Pendlebury 2 seconds back, further back from him. Jamie Nicholson just half a second behind Pendlebury, though. He'll be looking to close him down. Dan Slattery has pitted, though. He will inherit the lead once the pit stops shake out, provided he doesn't cock it up. And then James Hurlow, 37 seconds back. That is largely down to Pendlebury. And when I say largely, I'd say that's 100% down to Pendlebury. Well, this is what happened to Jamie Nicholson, and just loses it all of his own accord. Just call him George Michael. Round and round he goes. And that drops him a bit further down the order. And at the same time, pretty much, Anthony Marriott, in the same location, just takes a little bit too much speed into that second horseshoe, and he slithers around as well. Oh, there's contact there between Audley and Hulse. Hulse becoming a bit of a menace in that first horseshoe. Just couldn't quite get it stopped and slithered into Audley there. Oh, that's Mark Audley late on the brakes there. This battle between Audley and Marriott has raged all race long. They're trying to find their way past Steve Moore, the elusive Steve Moore in the standings. And they managed to find their way past him without any great difficulty. Audley may have lost out a little bit to Marriott there. They are currently battling over 5th place. They were battling for the higher positions, but issues for both of them in this race have tumbled them down the order somewhat. Looking back at the lead battle for the Pro category then, and that is Will Thomas continuing to lead the way with Dan Slattery all over him, no doubt pissing himself with sweat all over the place in trying to get past him in the infield section. But so far, no luck, despite it just being 0.3 of a second between the two of them. And just one other thing to note, Ricky Worrell, he is out of the race. Not sure why. I assume he's crashed. Well, then, we join Josh Levy on his final lap. Another commanding drive in the AM category for Mr. Levy. Coming around the oval section now, jumping up to the bus stop chicane. Rounds it nicely. Back up onto the oval then. Chris Palmer has been closing that gap down in the last couple of laps, but he won't be able to do enough. And you can see the flag flying. Josh Levy takes the win in class. Very well done to him. And the Dan Slattery and Will Thomas battle comes down to the line as well. But as suspected, the power and the straight line speed of that Mercedes wins out. Oh dear, and he's blown up his engine. No driving back to the pits for him. Well, there we go. As the grandstands say outside Daytona, be inspired to crash into the barriers after you've won. Now, right, let's take a look at the results then. Who are we going to have a look at first? Well, let's take a look at the AM category first. Congratulations, Josh Levy, by the tune of 2 seconds, beat Chris Palmer. Chris Hulse, he had an eventful race and managed to recover to still take the final step of the podium. Steve Everson, he was in 4th place with Anthony Marriott in 5th. Mark Audley, 6th place for him. Good, solid return to the series. A podium and a 6th place. Brian Dodd, he was then in 7th with Travis Dorado in 8th. Paul Nicholson, connecting issues rendered him 12 laps down, and Axel Edwards retired 21 laps from the end. He came home, well, he didn't come home in 10th, he retired a while ago. Taking a look at the pro standings then, Will Thomas, winner, chicken dinner for him, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Dan Slattery. That was a good old battle towards the end there. Jeff Sharp, it was a battling 3rd place for him. Jamie Nicholson was then in 4th. Oh, my blips stopped working. Then Lord Pendlebury was then in 5th place. James Hurlow in 6th, thanks to one Lord Pendlebury. And Ricky Worrell, he got into stride. 7th place for him. Well, taking a look at the standings then, and the AM standings sees Chris Hulse leading the way, but Anthony Marriott just 5 points back. Josh Levy is then on 78 points in 3rd place. All 3 of them have 2 wins apiece. Steve Everson, he's just 4 points back in 4th, with Axel Edwards then in 5th on 65 points. Chris Palmer's in 6th place on 43, with Mark Audley. Only competed in 2 races so far this season, but he's already up to 7th on 23 points. Travis Dorado, he was then in 8th on 18 points, with Brian Todd 2 points further back. Josh Morris in 14th in 10th on 14 points, and Paul Nicholson 2 points further back from him in 11th. And look at that, the 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, that is a close old battle, just 6 points separating all 4. And taking a look at the pro standings, Dan Slattery leads the way, 122 points, grasps the lead of the championship from Lord Pendlebury, who now resides in 2nd place on 104 points, 2 wins each for those 2 as well. Jeff Sharp is then in 3rd place on 79 points, with Jamie Nicholson 4 points back in 4th on 75 points. Will Thomas, 63 points for him, with James Hurlow on 59 points. Ricky Worrell is then in 7th place on 54 points. Steve Moore with 24 points in 8th place, and in 9th is Nelson Verdier on 18 points. Well, thank you very much for watching this. Oh god, I almost swallowed my own tongue. That would have been disastrous for my existence. But yes, thank you very much for visiting, watching this one. We will be back next week. We are heading to Pocono for probably some kind of NASCAR stuff. So join us for that. But for now, we will catch you later.